5-point assignment. As I was saying, the major objective, one of the major objectives of this class is for you to be able to write in syllogisms. That's what we want you to do. We want you to be able to write what's called that's how you're going to write in this class. And so far, I think it's good because it consists of form and structure. Everyone say form and structure.
Form and structure.
And so you need to recognize how to write so that you can convince someone when you present an argument. When that argument is presented, you have the ability to present a valid and a sound argument. And how are you going to present that valid and sound argument? It's going to be presented in syllogism. Now, this is not new. This form of writing goes all the way back to 450 BC. This is the form of writing that was utilized by the Greek people. This is the way that arguments are presented, and they are presented that you might tell the truth, and that your truth will be validated by other people. And so we are doing this assignment today specifically to point out how we can present sound and valid arguments, and also to look at some of the fallacies that are associated with arguing. Because if you make a or you make a statement that is positive, I'm sure that it won't take long for someone to find a negative. And what you want to be able to do is to present your positive. You want to accent your positive to eliminate the negative. Everyone say accent the positive.
Accent the positive.
To eliminate the negative.
To eliminate the negative.
And so therefore this assignment is going to accent your positive arguments related to COVID-19 to eliminate the negativity associated with COVID-19. So let's get started. Let's look at one of those questions and let's present an argument. Maybe I want 5. Let's go 5. I want to be very soft today.
What are some ways we can comfort one another during COVID-19 calamities?
Okay, very good, good. You all heard the question, didn't you? What are some of the ways that you can comfort others during COVID-19? And so you look at the question and you develop a premise out of the question. And that's called a major premise. Yes, it is spelled the same way that one spells premise, like I'm standing on the premises right now. Yes, it is. And it does have sort of a connotation, meaning that you're standing on a firm foundation. And so you have to turn the question around, which is, the question is, what are ways to comfort others during, I'm using just a C-19. What are the ways you comfort others during C-19? Now, sometimes this question can be a hypothesis. It can be an educated guess. Because questions are geared to get you to come to a conclusion. In a syllogism, you desire to come to a truthful conclusion. So, what is the major subject in this question? What are the ways to comfort others during C-19? It's obvious, right? What is the subject? Hmm? C-19. And when you write an argument in syllogism, you want to find the subject in your major premise. And so I would say that one of the statements that would be very, very pertinent would be all people desire comfort during C-19. Is that true? Yeah. Is that a true statement? Is there anyone who wants to be discomforted now? Can you think of anyone in the world who would desire to be uncomfortable during C-19? And so notice the power of this statement. All. That's a powerful statement. Meaning I could go all around the world and say to people all over, do you desire to be comforted? They would say, yeah. I could go to India. Person would say, yes, I desire to be comforted. I could go to Russia. Yes, I desire to be comforted. I could go to the Ukraine. Yes, I would desire to be comforted. I could go to America. Yes, I would desire to be comforted. I go to South America. All people. This weakens the argument. If I say just some people. See how weak that becomes? And is that a true statement? No, it's not true. But it's certainly not powerful. We would rather go with a term that includes as many as we can. All. Or we can use a synonym such as the vast majority of people. But we want that power in your major premise. You want that punch in your major premise. You want that major premise to have that support a conclusion. You want your major premise to support a conclusion that will prevent someone to presenting a negative of your conclusion. And so this is typically called the major premise, but in symbolism, we don't use the word major premise, we use P1. P1. Now, the minor premise is a subset of the major premise. And that is what's called P2, minor premise. Now, the minor premise being a subset of the major premise, say this is a set of all the people in the world, P1. The minor premise would be a subset. And generally, that's a group. But that group has to have power to support a conclusion also. And sometimes it's you. For example, I desire to comfort people during C-19. Oh, not the same statement. It looks like the same statement. Okay, well, let's use another word for comfort. What's another word for comfort? Give me a synonym for comfort so that you won't be using the same word. Anyone? Any synonym. What are some of the synonyms?
Help.
Okay, help. Very good. Wow, that's powerful. I desire to help people during C-19. Notice it's a subset of all people. Let's say, instead of I desire, let's use the term my group. Say you have a group that is a missionary group that serves the people, for example, by way of aiding people by volunteering to give COVID tests. So your group look at me, look at me. I gotta make this word group strong. I'm gonna use an acronym for group. You know what acronym is, don't you? Okay, here's an acronym. G-R-O-U-P. Now this is an acronym because you're using the first letter to make words. So your group is a group where God recognizes our unlimited power. You have a power group. My group now is a power group. And that's where God recognizes your unlimited power in your group. So you know that your group is going to help people during C-19. What are some of the things that you think a group could do to help people during C-19? Give me a couple examples.
Pass out masks.
Pass out what?
Masks.
Pass out masks, exactly. Now, notice, don't take the word help to be weakened as comfort. Let me give you an example of how help is important in this particular statement. This is a little joke. This is a joke. This is a Morehouse joke, Morehouse College joke. So if you haven't gone to Morehouse College, you're not a man of Morehouse, or you have not a Morehouse man. A man of Morehouse is a man who's attempting to graduate from that fraternal order of Morehouse man, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, at the AU Center, which is one of the only colleges in the world that only graduates men, a Morehouse man. So this is a Morehouse joke, okay? So here we are. There is a professor who is a Morehouse professor, and he is pompous. He thinks he's all of that in a bag of tricks. And this particular statement is to help us to recognize the power of the word help. He's in a boat, and he's fishing in his little boat. And as he looks to the side of the shore, he sees two men. Two men who are not fishing in a boat, but fishing off the pier. He begins to think he's better than the two men that are fishing off the pier. He says to himself, "My God, I am a proud man, and I'm got it going on for myself. Why, I'm sitting in my boat fishing, and look at those two fellows sitting to the side. Oh, they are disgusting." And all of a sudden, there is a tidal wave that just turns his boat over, and he's in the water, and he's going down the first time. And he goes down, and he says, "Now, I got to get some assistance to get out of this water." So he comes back up, and he looks to the side, and he says, "Assistance." But these guys don't recognize what he's saying. So he goes down again, and this time he says, "Oh boy, it's getting vicious down here." And he comes back up, and he looks to the side. He says, "Maybe I'll emphasize. Assistance, please." And they don't know what he's saying. And he goes down the third time into the water, and this time he says, "These guys don't know what I'm saying. I'm going to come up with something that will present my argument." He says, "Help!" And they recognize help. And they jump in, and they save him. Well, what is the moral of the story? When help is needed, people have to cry out for help. Am I correct? When help is needed, you got to make it clear. You don't have time to have an argument. You do what you got to do. You holler out help. When you write, you've got to write with power that makes sense to other people. You're not just writing for the people in your home, to please mama that you wrote a good paper or get a star from your professor. You're not just writing for the people in your community because you need to articulate what you're saying to the entire world. So therefore, You must learn to write syllogistically. So, let me ask you this. So far, is P1 true? And P2 is true. Your group is offering assistance. P3, as you see on the assignment, is normally a quote, a definition, or it is a statistic. A statistic. Believe me, statistics are powerful because generally statistics are new. If we're talking about COVID-19 in 1990, no one knew what COVID-19 was. There was no COVID-19, but today we have to have new statistics. We have to have new definitions. We have to have new quotes. So this is where you have to do research. Everyone say research.
Research.
Notice the word research. P3 is your research. Research. That's your research. That research has to be relevant. So what I'm asking you all to do right now is to Google, what can you do to assist people who have experienced COVID. Are you Googling that? What can you do to help? What can you do to comfort? Now I need someone who is an expert. I'm sure that you're going to find something that says 10 ways to comfort. Now I don't want you. I want an expert. That's where you have to Google quality sources. I would think that one of the best sources would be the magazine Psychology Today. I would think one of the best sources would be the Center of Disease Control. I would think one of the best sources would be the Worldwide Health Organization. I would think one of the best sources would probably be the Harvard Review. I would think one of the best sources would be Meharry Medical School. I would think one of the best sources would be Morehouse School of Medicine. I would think one of the best sources would be Beaumont Health Center. I would think one of the best sources would be Henry Ford Hospital. I would think one of the best sources would be one of the major denominations, such as the Catholic Church. What does the Baptist Church say? What does the Episcopal Church say? I would think you could find a source. Now I know, you could go to your grandmama. All of you can go to your grandmama. Your grandmama probably has better information than all of those sources. Grandmama would probably come up with a good statement. First of all, honey, someone experiencing COVID-19, this is what Granny would probably say, you know, a real Granny. Granny would probably say, you know, you need to get a lot of aspirin. Right? Then Granny would say, you know, if someone experiences COVID-19, you know, one of the things they need to do, they need to get in a comfortable place. And then she would say, you know, you need to show bedside manners to them, you know, not have them have to get up and go to the kitchen and get their food. You get the food for them. And Granny would go on, and chances are Granny would be right. But you are writing academically. Look at me, you writing academically. So you want academics to read your book. I know they love your grandmama, they love your grandmama's peach pie. And they know your grandmama is experienced. But you want to know what the academics say. So now, this is where you come in. Give me a statement that would be P3. And frequently, you would start off with the source that gives you power, according to, someone give me a statement.
I got this from U of M Counseling and Psychological Services.
U of M what?
Counseling and Psychological Services.
U of M, and I'm supposing that's U of M, University of Michigan,
Yes, sir.
okay?
And it's talking about how to cope after learning someone you care about tested positive for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
So I'm trying to find the good quote.
They probably giving me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm ready.
So when they say showing symptoms of COVID-19 can bring up a range of emotions, some may include relief about finally knowing what is underlying their symptoms, fear for what this could mean for their health, constant worrying about whether they will recover, need to be hospitalized or make it through this, guilt for wondering if you have been exposed and what this means for your health, anger or frustration if they didn't take this seriously or were declined testing. We at CAPS wish we could provide certified ways to get through this moment and reassure you that everything will be okay. But the
Okay,
truth is,
very good. U of M says one thing, tell them it's going to be okay. Yeah, that's one. You know, that's part of your mission statement in life. Just tell somebody, you're going to be okay. And it's coming from a valid source. U of M Psychological Service. Tell them it's going to be okay. Is there another? I can do 2 or 3.
I got
Just-
one.
oh.
Okay.
Oh, you go ahead and
You want
finish
me to-
up. Yeah, go ahead and finish yours.
Well,
That
they
sounds
list
good.
be selective about what you watch and listen regarding COVID-19.
Yeah, watch what you take in. Like conspiracy theories. Yeah, conspiracy theories. Here's a conspiracy theory. Drink. What were they saying? Drink. What was it?
Plenty of fluid.
Well, that was in a
Oh, drink
conspiracy.
bleach or something?
Drink bleach or something like that. So watch what you take in. Does this argument seem valid? You know, tell a person to watch what they take in, like conspiracy theories. You can keep on going, Ms. Jones.
Practice self-compassion.
Oh, that's a good one. Practice self-compassion. You be compassionate to the person who has been inflicted. Don't be mean. Now, y'all know y'all can do that too. After 2 days. How long is quarantine now?
10 days.
It's popular, right?
I don't know.
It all depends on the severity.
Okay. Oh, you healthcare, you know.
Yeah.
I forgot you had your hand over your badge.
Oh,
You know, okay, yeah, right.
It depends on
Okay,
the
okay,
severity.
all right, that's valid. That's a valid. See, I should take this and erase all this and say, we have a healthcare professor, a nurse in here, and she just told us, and I'm standing up here not even listening to authority. See, that would be a quote. You'd be a good quote, right? So you see how powerful you're getting with your P3. Now your P4 is a fallacy. And I need not even go any deeper, but P4 is a fallacy. See, because a lot of people, some people, do not believe C-19 hurts. Ouch. Everyone say ouch.
Ouch.
Some people don't believe it. They really don't. They haven't even been touched. They haven't had a family member pass. They haven't had the sickness themselves. And they're walking around with this attitude to make you feel inferior or condescend, saying, oh, there's nothing to it.
Oh, or you're a sheep for following
Oh, yeah,
directions.
you must have done something wrong. And that would be a fallacy, because it is quite the opposite of giving comfort. Now, there's always a name to the fallacy. There's always a name to the fallacy. And in this case, it would be very easy for someone to say, you don't know what you're talking about. And that would become a slippery slope fallacy. Meaning, you know, like you're on a hill, Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of what? Jack fell down and did what? Broke his crown, and what happened to Jill? She tumbled after. So in other words, slippery slope says that if you say one thing, such as comfort someone, then it's going to get worse. You give pity to somebody, it's going to go downhill. See how that fallacy goes? Oh, for example, tell your husband. This fallacy say, if you keep giving your husband food while he's resting and comfortable during COVID-19, then he is going to expect that every day of his life. See the fallacy? You see the fallacy? Mm-hmm. Slippery slope. And so fallacies prevent you from being hurt. If P1 is true, P2 is true, P3 is true, P4, and again, major premise, minor premise, minor premise, minor premise. If they're all true, then quite naturally, your conclusion is true. Your conclusion does not have to be wrong. For example, your question can be turned back into your conclusion. Normally, it would line up like this, of course. But this question, now, watch. The question can become positive. Therefore, there are ways to comfort others during C-19. Look at me, while you're doing that. Check this out. Some people need to know, keep it from looking redundant, how to do synonyms. And so what you do, you look back at your statement and you say, okay, how many times have I said the same word? Well, I see people twice. So I'm going to give a synonym to people. And I'm going to call them not just people, humans. You know, people is a rough word. If you black and you go in a room and you hear a lecturer who may be of another race, they'll say, and you people. What you mean, you people? So maybe I need to change the word people all the way. What's another word for people that'll make this more powerful? I have humans. All what?
Beings.
All beings. Very good. Another word. How about using the word loving people? Notice how that adjective helped. Okay, now.
Could you use persons?
Hmm?
Could you use persons, like all persons?
Yeah, all persons, yeah, sure. I like to do it like this. I like to say all Detroiters. All Detroiters desire to comfort C-19. But is that true?
No.
Come on now.
Nope.
Come on, let your mind run over this. Sit.
No.
Okay, let's go for a ride. Let's go out of Drive, go down Southfield, and let's go all the way to Joy Road. What's the first thing I'm gonna see on Joy Road? Somebody, when I come off that exit, somebody gonna what? Have a sign, what it's gonna say?
Please help. We'll work with them. Right.
They won't help, but will they help you? For example, you say, hey, listen, I got a big pile of trash, I got to move. If you could jump in the back of my car and I take you around the corner, I give you $5. Now, I'm being superfluous, I'm condescending, but do you think they say, okay, I'm gonna do it? No. No. Okay, so I can't say, but our city needs to have more compassion. So I'm just gonna have to break down and say, all beings. That's okay, that's fine. All human beings. Yeah, let's make it human beings. Form and structure. Now, to make this a paragraph, how many sentences do you need in a paragraph? Come on, I'm taking you back to the 3rd grade.
5.
5 sentences. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take away all of the symbolism, and I have a paragraph. Now, let's look at it. I'm going to retort this using speech. The same thing can become speech. Okay, here we are. This is my speech for my speech class. It's turned into a written. Now I'm ready to get an A in the speech class. Today my speech is titled Comfort During COVID-19. All human beings desire to be comforted during COVID-19. I desire, and my group desire, to offer comfort and help to others during C-19. We're going to use the formula that the U of M, University of Michigan Psych Services told us to use. They told us that we need to tell people it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And they tell us to tell people, don't you be listening to conspiracy theories. Don't bog your mind in foolish things. Therefore, we all have the capacity to comfort, to aid, to assist one another during C-19. You said that from there? You mean you just got an A in speech too? Why? Because I presented an argument. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any comments? Any discussion?